Kobe, Matt, obviously a lot of different racing venues in Texas, not just present, but past. What are we thinking right now with moving to Arlington for IndyCar?
Well, Jackson, I'll say what I said in our private chat among our team members at first. I want to acknowledge at first that I believe that we didn't necessarily need another street race on the schedule. I think we have enough street races right now in the NTT IndyCar series, and I didn't think we necessarily needed one in the same market, as Texas Motor Speedway. As we all know, the last race we saw at Texas Motor Speedway, incredibly good, and people were wondering why would you want to leave that behind. But unfortunately, it really seems like that we're leaving that behind, at least for now, and we've decided to go to a street race in Dallas. And after having some time to think about this, I actually see the positives of having this street race in Dallas, especially from a market perspective. If you watch the press conference of this event being announced, like two of the most powerful men in sports sitting side by side. Roger Penske, obviously representing Penske Entertainment, and Jerry Jones, the CEO and owner of the Dallas Cowboys and the general manager. Jerry wears all the hats there in Jerry World, as you alluded to, Jackson, as we like to call AT&T Stadium. And seeing someone like Jerry Jones involved in a huge project like this is just massive for IndyCar. And I'll tell you this, you probably would not see Jerry Jones involved if this race was at Texas Motor Speedway, wouldn't be doing any promotions like this. And when IndyCar announced it on the social media page, who did they have leading the promo? You had Michael Irvin, Dallas Cowboys legend, the wide receiver, Pro Football Hall of Famer, wears so many hats. You wouldn't see Michael Irvin promoting a race at Texas Motor Speedway. And when the time comes for this event, you could see some of the Cowboys' biggest stars today out there at the track promoting the event. You can see Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, any of your big name Dallas Cowboys, or even some more names of the past like a Troy Aikman or something like that, because I think that if you have these people out here helping promote this event, that's only going to help IndyCar, because one of the biggest criticisms of the past race on the oval at Texas Motor Speedway that the marketing was not great for that race. And we always heard stories about the locals, they're in the Fort Worth area, Dallas Fort Worth area, they had no idea that a race was even happening at Texas Motor Speedway. And knowing how Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys are, everything is big in Texas, and Jerry wants this event to be a success. So I'm sure he's going to have his team pushing this event really hard. And in all seriousness, while I said I didn't think we necessarily needed another street race on the IndyCar schedule, I really hope this event will be a success, because I think from a market standpoint, it definitely has a lot more potential than the lone race we had at Circuit of the Americas, and then the races that Texas Motor Speedway had. I think it's just from a market standpoint that this is a good thing, but what will the racing be like? We don't really know right now. And another thing I wanted to point out, it was really crazy seeing your regular Dallas Cowboys beat reporters, covering this press conference talking about IndyCar, which is something that they wouldn't even be talking about if we were still racing at Texas Motor Speedway. So yeah, that's the big positive that I take away from that. And before I turn over to you, Matt, our own Joshua Birch is watching right now in the hospital, and thanking you for filling in, Jackson. And he said thoughts with everyone affected. And so on, we definitely hope you get well, Josh, and out of the hospital and getting back to doing what you love here on the Air at Grid Network over at Joshua Birch Motorsports. And then Adam Limerick said the Grand Marshal for the Grand Prix Arlington should be Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. By the way, go Padres, Jackson. Yeah, I have a feeling Jerry probably is going to end up being the Grand Marshal for that race.
Yeah, it should change that should to will, Adam, I think, in that comment. I like this idea. I think it's got legs. What have we got? St. Pete, Long Beach, Detroit, this coming. Nashville's obviously gone away for however long. Probably it looks like maybe that's done and dusted. So I think adding another one street track onto the schedule is a good thing. Down through the years we've seen IndyCar /kart /champ car /IRL go to all of these different random places across the states and hold a street race. So it's no different really. Back to TMS. Last couple of years, last couple 2 or 3 years since COVID, probably. It's been better. The racing has been that last couple of races with the Newgarden winning and McLaughlin being beaten at the last corner and that kind of thing. There've been tremendous races at TMS over the last couple of races there. But as you mentioned, Kobe, promotion was slim to nothing. Fan attendance was also slim to nothing. And I think it was time for a change. Should they, we've got COTA sitting there. They've only ever been there once. Colton Herta getting his first win in the series at Circuit of the Americas. I don't really understand why they haven't gone back there when that facility is sitting there in the state, but here we go. This is kind of continuing a trend, you could say, with football stadiums or stadium being used in and around motorsport races. We had the Formula E race at Seoul a couple of years ago, which has gone off the calendar. Miami, of course, with the Formula One race, and now this. So IndyCar have got their own football-based racetrack. Track looks good. I think it'll be a nice spectacle. And here's another. It could be completely consequent, or not. What's the word I'm searching for here? Coincidence. That's the one. Fox gets the stagnant stuff on NBC all through these years. Fox gets the IndyCar deal, and now we've suddenly got this race at Arlington. Could be, but it's a good start. We've got the IndyCar calendar again. Next year is a little bit samey, but that's been done a long time ago. Fox getting the IndyCar series, and now we're going to get some more new events on the calendar. I think this is the first of hopefully many, even if they're just 1 or 2 years here or there and go away again. But like to see new circuits and in a slightly new market. I think that the Cowboys collective will obviously support the race and promote it very widely. It was kind of like, this is coming, and then the day later it was, here's the announcement, sort of thing. So it's all out there now. We've got obviously over a year to wait for it, but pretty excited to see how it goes down.
Let's talk about Fox really quickly, Matt, because funnily enough, Jennifer reported that we could see promotion for this race as soon as this weekend for the Cowboys game, which is happening to be broadcasted on Fox this weekend. And I won't get into the details for that, but NFL coverage in America is a bloodbath. Kobe's going to know this way better than me, but it's networks fighting on top of each other to get regional coverage and get things going. But we talk about the relationship between motorsports and conventional sports, whether it's Steinbrenner Racing, seeing what Agustin Canapino did with Argentinian FC. I know European football has a very complicated history with Formula One. It's a two-way street, and that's exactly why we're seeing an MLB, not an exhibition game, a regular season game at Bristol next year. There's a two-way street for promotion. This isn't Roger Penske or Jerry Jones trying to grab quick fans for a couple of seasons. I genuinely think this is planting the seeds for what could be a long-lasting partnership. And you chose a really, really good partner. You chose probably the only partner when you're building a race in an environment that has Circuit of the Americas, Texas Motor Speedway. You chose the one other sports organizer who, if they will build anything, if Jerry Jones builds anything, he's got one of the biggest diehard sports fan bases in America. They will be there. I can guarantee March 2026. So again, a lot of options in Texas, but I think Roger Penske and Jerry Jones have put together a fantastic package to kind of argue why we're going here and not elsewhere. But let's talk really quickly about what we could be looking at. Again, this is all kind of subject to change, as we're going to have Kobe bring that up really quickly for me. 14 turn, 2.73 mile Dallas Arlington street circuit. IndyCar drivers expected to reach top speeds of 180 miles an hour, longest straight nearly a mile long. Also double-sided pit lane. We'll get into that in a little bit. I'm a fan of it, similar to Detroit. Joseph Newgarden actually disagreed with the speed say, and he's thinking, with hybrid system and where we could see cars going in the next couple of years, we could be hitting 200, which is unheard of on street circuits. But adding this event is a big deal. He thinks Grand Prix of Arlington will pretty quickly become an event that drivers circle on their calendar every single year. According to Penske, turns 1, 10, 12, 14 should be the best passing zones on track. Makes sense. You got kind of the ends of pretty long straightaways, big braking zones. Also be two areas where the track is going to go underneath hospitality and suites, two kind of Coliseum-like atmospheres. If you know the marina in Hard Rock, Miami area, very similar to that. Look carefully at turn 6, carousel in the shape of a Texas-style horseshoe. Nice little touch there. But Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said he was pinching himself over this entire deal involving his own AT&T Stadium when he decided to move his team to Arlington back in 2009. So, Matt, Kobe, I know we don't see the renderings here, but we've got a lot of Miami inspiration here as we hear from Joe Samaniego. Wonder if Jerry Jones wants to compete with exactly what I'm saying, Joe. I think there's a lot of Miami influence, and I don't necessarily say that in a bad way, but I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on the proposed layout.
I think it looks really good. Looks like it's got plenty of flow to it. Not many like really tight technical sections where we're going to see cars go like 20, 30 miles an hour or whatever. That turn 4 and maybe turn 7 there on the left-hand side, probably going to be the slowest corners. That straight between 9 and 10, if you can call it a straight, it's got some bends in it. It's going to be if Joseph Dugarden's right, as you say, Jackson, and we're going to be seeing getting up towards the 200-mile-an-hour mark. That is going to be they're going to have a very long runoff area down at turn 10, let's say. But I think it's got potential, looking at it, to have some really good racing. One thing we're interested already, and you mentioned, talked about this being March 26, is what's the support package going to be? We're going to see some GTs around here, perhaps some like Pirelli World Challenge or Michelin, a Pilot Challenge or something like that, tied up with the IndyCar Series, GT America, or like they have at St. Pete. So the possibilities are endless. But from a layout perspective, I think it looks really it's got a lot of fast stuff and it's got a lot of flow to it by the looks of things as well.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add about the layout. I think based on what they have right now, it looks fantastic. Like you say, Jackson's subject to change. They also could see some altercations happen. Well, we could see the circuit change quite well, not a lot, but you get what I'm trying to say. But my favorite part of this circuit is actually the horseshoe shape, because give a nod to Texas there in the Texas horseshoe. Thought that was a really nice little touch there. And here in the chat room, Adam says that you love the layout, you think it's awesome. And Joshua Burt believes that turns 6 through 10 looks like the Sochi Autodrome circuit that we saw in Russia when that hosted the Russian Grand Prix in Formula One. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what the racing is going to look like on this circuit. Is one thing seeing this nice little rendering right here of what it's going to look like, but it's another thing to see what is the racing actually going to look like. We're not going to find that out until March 2026. And I'm actually glad you brought up the support package, Matt. I think that'll also be important to see what series is going to race there. When they're going to have Indy next, like you said, we're going to see them do the GT World Challenge America stuff. Would be nice to see IMSA race on the streets of Dallas if they decide to maybe bring the GTD Pro and GTD cars there, or even put the GTPs out there. That would be a lot of fun to see sports cars join the Indy cars on the streets of Dallas for this Grand Prix of Arlington. But all in all, I think they've done a nice job trying to, I guess add something new to the IndyCar schedule. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go from here, and if they're gonna, like you alluded to, Matt, are they gonna add more races in the future and all that?
You want to know what's funny? I was in the green room before this thinking to myself, is it going to be weird if I mention support series? Because I think this has the potential for some really, really good racing, depending on what we bring. But I mean, I would love to see Porsche Cup. IMSA would be great, as we hear from Ben Schneider. I don't want to hate this, but it's hard for me to like it, given it's essentially the TMS replacement. I don't want to ever hear we need more ovals from series leadership again. Just empty words. I mean, again, like, it's hard for us to look at this considering we had a fantastic race to end off the TMS era. And there was still a statement from TMS this week saying from what I perceived it felt like doors still open. So I don't know if we're in an environment where these could coexist. I'll give you a good, I think Ben's instantly going to be like, nope, not going to happen. I think Josh just put a great one, MX5 Cup in here. Insane.
Oh, goodness.
Connor Zillich. Could you imagine? Because their top speed is so low. You've got 5 wide, 150 miles an hour going into turn 10. Oh, Lord.
That would be great.
No, this could be some really good racing. I think I liked what Josh said earlier, because it's Sochi if it didn't suck. Honestly, you've got the kind of high speed, kind of carousel-esque corners, but you don't have. It's better than Miami because you don't have the really slow, really technical sections like under the freeway. Yeah. It seems like anywhere you can either pass or set up for a pass really well, but it's still providing a challenge. So I really like it. I think the only big kind of controversy, maybe, I know some people weren't really liking the double file pit lanes, and we can touch on this really quickly, but for me, I actually personally really like it. You get the entire pit lane in one TV shot. You can see all the pit stalls in the drivers in one picture. And for the fans, they all get to see it in one spot. If you want to make your racing package closer to stickball sports without going to stage racing or playoffs, we'll get to that in a second, guys. But if you want it to have that kind of sports style appear, make it an arena style pit stop section. It's shorter. It gives more of an emphasis on, the performance of your pit crew. I think it's great.
My we'll get to hots and knots obviously at the end of the show, but my knot on this is, I think we've seen it in Detroit for 2 years now, and maybe because that track absolutely blows, it is awful, absolutely terrible, that Detroit layout, and we've got the double file pit. Maybe it's the stat that's in my brain going bad.
I'm going to tell you right now, and Josh sat in that booth with me. I can give you a MLA formatted list of issues with that track that I've seen firsthand. Double file pit lane, not one of them. And Josh can be the receipts on that. But Kobe, what do you got?
I said, well, for me, I'm not a stickler one way or another about the double file pit lane, whether it's the regular pit style pit lane we always see, or if it's the double sided one. I don't really, I guess what I'm trying to say is it doesn't really bother me one way or another. But I will admit, when it comes to this double sided pit lane, it definitely makes it more interesting on pit road, especially when they're pitting under caution, because you in a normal pit sequence, the pit crew and the driver have to hit their marks and all that. But in a situation like this, it matters even more, because I think there's a greater chance for something to go wrong, and then you can shake up the race and all that. Yeah, so I guess from a dramatic standpoint, this double-sided pit lane can potentially add something there.
Two quick things before we move
on
from this.
I jumped on you. Go.
You mentioned Kobe Imza perhaps going here. It's in March. That would probably conflict with Sebring.
Yeah.
So I doubt we may see some of the support package races go, but I don't think we'll see the big show. And then also a positive on this, it's in March. And what we've been saying about IndyCar for the last couple of years, we have St. Pete, and then we don't see them again until April.
Massive gap.
So you could go St. Pete, then you could go here, Thermal, Long Beach, back to Barber, and then off to Indianapolis in May. I think that all loops together quite nicely for the early part of the season.
I don't think that was a full comment from Josh, but that's my receipt comment. And also, Matt, bold of you to assume, I say this wanting it to stay, but bold of you to assume we're going to see Thermal past this next upcoming year. There we go. But no, just to kind of wrap this part up, I think when Roger Penske stated at the start of the year, we want more street circuits, we were terrified that we're going to get, just some square parks, a lot of 90 degrees, kind of like what Formula E is making. And he's putting together, granted, I know it's not ovals and it's not what we want right now, but he's working with great partners and they're making some really enticing formats right now. And it's hard to call it a street circuit, but I'm really stoked.